All right, shifting our focus now. Why are Ukrainian soldiers deserting the front lines? In a rare admission, Ukraine's defense minister has said that 200,000 Ukrainian soldiers are absent without an official leave. As Kyiv battles a growing manpower crisis, Russia continues its relentless assault. U.S. President Donald Trump blames the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for holding up peace negotiations with Russia. Our next report explores if Ukraine is on a back foot at the moment.
Ukraine's military is under mounting pressure, not just on the battlefield, but from within. As Russia continues its unrelenting strikes, Ukrainian troops are reportedly fleeing the front lines. The deepening manpower crisis has turned out to be one of the biggest headaches for the Ukrainian army. Kyiv says that nearly 200,000 soldiers are absent without official leave. They have left their positions without permission. Ukraine's newly appointed defense minister says around 2 million Ukrainians are wanted for avoiding military service. This damning admission comes at a time when Russian forces are on the march. Russian troops are storming the Ukrainian defenses. Moscow claims that it has taken more than 300 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory in the past 2 weeks of January. The Ukrainian military has been under strain for years as it tries to defend the country against a much bigger and stronger enemy. Conditions along the front line, which have been brutal, have been deteriorating. Outgunned and outnumbered, Ukrainian soldiers have been struggling to hold on to key positions.
Every time I go to a position, it feels like it might be the last time. Why? Because there are so many FPV drones flying around. The most dangerous ones are those equipped with fiber optics. Against standard FPVs, we have electronic warfare, which theoretically should save us.
They said that everything will be fine soon. We are watching and hoping that everything will be fine, but only God knows what will happen next. If things get bad, we will leave, of course.
US President Donald Trump is sharing his frustration with his Ukrainian counterpart. He says Putin is ready to end the war, but Zelensky is reluctant. Russia says Ukraine is running out of options to strike a peace deal. It alleges Ukraine is not serious, though Moscow is open for talks. Russia wants US to brief it on the latest peace proposals for Ukraine.
President Putin repeatedly, including over the last couple of weeks, at various events confirmed our position that we are open to talks on Ukraine. If those talks are serious and people who are interested in them are really ready for them and they have substantive proposals.
Russia has pounded Kyiv and the country with missiles and drones over the last few days, leaving around 70% of the capital without power. Kyiv is appealing its Western allies to put more pressure on Putin. Moscow has not backed down from its intention to seize the rest of East Ukraine. The situation is deteriorating day by day for Kyiv. With diplomacy at a standstill, the future of the conflict and the path towards peace looks uncertain. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Earlier on GRAVITAS, we told you about the battle for silver, that for the first time, the white metal broke above $90 an ounce. Well, today, it pulled back as investors took profits and the US decided not to impose broad import tariffs on critical minerals. The metal fell as much as 7.3% on Thursday before recovering some losses later in the session. Prices had jumped more than 20% in 4 days, driven by industrial demand and speculative buying, especially in China. President Donald Trump stopped short of imposing broad tariffs on imports like silver and platinum, and instead he proposed bilateral negotiations and price limit, following months of review on whether foreign shipments threaten U.S. national security. COMEX warehouses in New York currently hold about 434 million ounces of silver, which is roughly 100 million more than a year ago, when tariff fears had intensified. Analysts now say that this stockpile may help ease supply pressure, but silver is still volatile. Remember, silver outpaced gold last year, rising nearly 150% as investors rotated from gold to silver. Industrial demand, particularly for solar energy and speculative buying in China, have pushed prices higher. Silver and gold both have benefited from a broad commodities rush, along with tin and copper reaching record highs. Markets have also reacted to Donald Trump's pressure on the Fed, geopolitical events like tensions in Iran and the American raids on Venezuela. They've also increased safe haven demand. Thin liquidity and surging investor demand have made silver prone to sharp swings. By 1 p.m. London time, silver was down 2.5% at $90.79, and gold fell 0.3% to $4,615, while platinum and palladium also dropped. Market experts say that gold's rally may continue, but silver and copper flows are wobbling as investors question supply limits. In short, silver remains highly volatile, supported by demand, speculation, and limited supply. Moving on, is America losing its grip on global influence? It's a question we have all asked ourselves over the last few years, and today, all signs on the ground point to it. A year into Donald Trump's return to the White House, a major new global survey suggests that Trump's America First agenda may be having the opposite effect on U.S. influence worldwide. The European Council on Foreign Relations, which surveyed nearly 26,000 people across 21 countries, has released its findings. And what it finds may vindicate Trump's critics, because the survey found that while China's influence is expected to rise, the United States is losing credibility with its allies and is no longer feared by its traditional rivals. Across Europe, confidence in the United States has fallen sharply. Most citizens no longer see Washington as a reliable partner, and support for rearmament is on the rise. Meanwhile, Russia increasingly views the European Union as a rival rather than America and Ukraine. They're looking more towards Brussels than Washington for support. Remember, the ambushed Ukrainian president faced in the Oval House from Trump and his team when he had visited Washington last February. Well, could that have been a catalyst for that change of heart in Kyiv? Who knows? But Ukraine is increasingly seeing Europe as an ally over the United States. But that's not all. More and more American allies have turned, like South Africa, Brazil, and even India. Majority now views China as a partner or even an ally. When asked what China is to India, opinions were split. Just 22% call China an ally, while 25% see it as a necessary partner. Meanwhile, 16% view China as a rival and another 25% as an adversary. In contrast, India sees the United States much more positively. A majority, 54%, call America an ally, while 22% see it as a necessary partner. Only 10% view America as a rival and just 7% as an adversary. Now, while the United States is still seen as an ally in India, China is increasingly seen as a necessary partner or an ally by nearly half the population. Could it be because of the trade tensions under President Trump? Well, the 50% tariff on India may have chipped away at America's influence, giving China room to strengthen its ties with India. Meanwhile, the Europeans are watching China closely as it leads in electric vehicles, renewable energy, and technology. Even inside America, 54% of the respondents expect Beijing's influence to grow over the next decade, as compared with a declining expectation for American power. Across almost every surveyed country, the US is no longer seen as a primary global anchor. The report also highlights the changing perceptions of Trump himself. Fewer people believe his policies are good for global peace or for their own countries than they did 12 months ago, and in Europe, only 16% now consider the US as an ally, while 20% see it as a rival or even an enemy. In Russia, more people now view Europe as a threat than the United States, and in China, 61% see America as a threat, but recognize the EU as a global power. What does all this indicate? For one, China's rise is widely expected, and the US risks being seen as distant, unreliable, or even self-interested. Analysts say that this could have serious implications for alliances and the balance of power over the next decade. The survey authors caution that the world is moving toward a new order where traditional alliances are less stable and power is increasingly multipolar. They argue that European leaders in particular will need to be realistic and daring, finding new ways to protect their interests and position themselves as independent players. In short, Trump's approach designed to make America great again may just have in practice contributed to making China great again.